Two enemies in the whole game drop this armor, and unfortunately, one of them does this. Yeah, let's try the other guy. The rare armor we're focusing on in this video is called the Banished Knight armor set, and it's just lovely. Look at that. Amazing. But it's also unlike any other armor in Elden Ring, and that's because it comes in two forms: the altered form and the unaltered form. Now, usually you can alter armor yourself at various sites of grace, but not the Banished Knight armor. Enemies either drop the altered variant, which you can see here, or the unaltered variant, which is this one, and both of them do look pretty different and pretty distinct. Both good in their own way, but the rarest of the two by far is the unaltered variant. As I say, only two enemies in the game drop the unaltered Banished Knight set, and they are incredibly difficult, and you'll have to kill dozens if not hundreds of them over and over again. But if you want one of these amazing armor sets for yourself and get the benefit of some great armor stats as well, here is where to get it. First up, head to the Castle Soul rooftop site of grace. Castle Soul is where you can find the two Banished Knights who drop the unaltered Banished Knight armor. We're going after the easier of the two because, as mentioned, the other guy is an absolute nightmare. So go south down the steps from the Castle Soul rooftop site of grace, and once you're down the steps, immediately turn right. From the wall, you can lock onto the Banished Knight. Now equip a bow or a crossbow. I'm using the pulley crossbow, and fire once. Just fire a little burst from your device. This will outgrow the knight, and he'll teleport right out to your location. Doesn't happen every time, but you know, 4 out of the 5 times this will happen. And this saves so much time and makes it so you don't have to go down there and get your hands dirty and fight him alongside his two wolves, which make the fight a lot more difficult, as you can imagine. The fight is pretty tough, but he's a bit slower than the other knight wandering the castle, and for me his moves are a bit easier to learn and track. So for instance, you can get behind him at points for a backstab, and there's enough of a giveaway before his big attacks that you can dodge right out the way of them. This knight has a small chance of dropping either the Banished Knight Greaves, the Banished Knight Legs, and the chest, so keep on plugging away until he drops all 3. When he does, it might look a little bit like this. I got him. The Banished Knight helm, though, is something you will have to get at a different location, and that location is here at the Cathedral of Dragon Communion in Caelid. Thankfully, the knight you need to farm is literally about 5 seconds from the grace site, so spawn in, run this way, and you'll find the knight. And just keep killing him over and over until he drops the Banished Knight Unaltered Helm, which looks like this. I love this unaltered helm, and this is the only place you can get this helm. It's so rare, and for me it adds a touch of mystery and intrigue to the armor. Like, I'm a bit sick of these metal helms. This one's a bit more of a cloth feel to it, and the texture's just nice. I like the texture. Again, this is not to be confused with the Banished Knight Altered Helm, which looks like this. No cloth, just metal. So you can see why not many people have this unaltered armor, given that the pieces are spread out all across the map and on very specific enemies with very low drop rates and very harsh attacks. But you can make this armor drop way faster if you max out your item discovery, which you can do this way. So by default, your item discovery starts at 100 and raises by 1 for every level you put into Arcane. So increase your Arcane to 99 and you'll have 199 discovery. Then you can boost it to the maximum by wearing the Silver Tier Mask, the Silver Scarab Talisman, Marika's Soul Seal Talisman, also by popping a Rune Arc while you have Godric's Great Rune equipped, and using a Silver Pickled Foulfoot. Just don't fast travel while you're using the foot, or the effects will wear off, but you can sit outside Grace just fine. That will keep the effects going. So do all of that, and your Banished Knight Unaltered Armor will drop much quicker, and then you can go off and make yourself a cup of tea and just sit there drinking your tea. By the way, if you did want to try your luck against the harder enemy in Castle Soul, you know, just for the bragging rights, this is where to go. And you have my eternal respect if you do manage to farm the armor off it, because God, I hate him. Okay, now now we've got the armor, is it actually useful? That would have been a good question to ask before I started the farm, but we're gonna answer it now. And I would say yes. And not just because I've spent hours doing this, but here's why I say yes to this. Because defense-wise, it vastly outperforms other knight sets with 35.2 physical defense. For comparison, the Godric knight set has 29.3 defense, the Redmane knight set has 29.7, the Lindor knight has 29.7, etc. So it really stacks up well compared to the other knight sets. Now, the Banished knight set does have a bit more weight, about 10 more than the other knight sets, but for that extra weight it gives you amazing poise. Just focusing on the chest alone, you get 28 poise for 17.5 weight, which is a great middle ground between the medium armors and the really heavy ones. I'm thinking like the Bull Goat set or the Omen set. To be honest, what we're really aiming for with our poise is 61. This is the threshold to withstand most non-heavy attacks in PvP, and the Banished Knight set, like Radahn's set and the Beast Champion set, all come close with 60 total poise. So you can basically tank all the hits in PvP straight off the bat, but we do want to raise it a tiny bit, just raise that poise a bit more. And for that, you can use the Bull Goat's Talisman, and that results in 95 total poise. That'll be more than enough to tank 2 standard attacks. And you can just keep on, not have yourself interrupted. Keep in mind though that you won't tank hits from great weapons, as great weapons deal upwards of 100 poise damage per hit. But it's still a whole lot of poise for not that much weight, making the Banished Knight set a really good set if you're looking for a balance between weight and defense. Or defense, if you're English. It's also, as you can see, very fashionable. You can wear the whole set and look great, or you can mix and match with other armor sets for different results. I personally like to use the gauntlets and greaves from the scaled set to give you a slightly lower weight while still fitting in with the whole aesthetic you've got going on. Or if you wanted to keep the style but experiment with it slightly, try the Black Flame Monk greaves, which have a similar metallic colour, and also the Crimson Hood. That looks really good with this. That's fashion, but play around with it and see what sort of cool armor look you can get with the Banished Knights set. As for weapons to wield, and again we're speaking in purely visual terms, try the Dragon Halberd and the Cuckoo Great Shield. Love this together. No idea what sort of stats you're getting from these, I haven't really looked. I just know it looks nice. So that was the Banished Knight Unaltered set, not to be confused with the Banished Knight Altered set, an exceedingly rare armor set that confusingly cannot be altered. But Elden Ring is, after all, at its best when it's confusing. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please do leave a like, and for more Elden Ring guides, subscribe to the channel.